have this community behind me in such a prestigious tournament. And for them to make the effort to stay up late and stay in the cold and cheer me on, so it really added to the feelings and the emotions after the match. Yeah.
They crossed oceans. They emptied their savings. They queued for hours in the London drizzle. And when the gates of the All England Club finally swung open, a sea of red, white, and blue flooded the most prestigious tournament in tennis, turning Wimbledon into a home away from home. The All England Club had seen passionate fan bases before, the roaring Brits on center court, the flag-waving Serbs who followed Novak Djokovic, the Spanish faithful who cheered Rafael Nadal. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared Wimbledon for what was about to hit them. Nurses from Birmingham, engineers from Berlin, students from Melbourne, families from Toronto. The Filipino diaspora had mobilized like never before, descending upon SW19 with a single mission, to watch Alex Eala make history. And when the tickets went on sale, they didn't just buy them, they devoured them. Within hours, every seat was gone. The famous Wimbledon queue was overwhelmed. "I know how notoriously difficult it is to get tickets to this event," Eala said. "So to have what I would call a full house of almost all Filipinos is amazing." But this wasn't just about filling seats. This was about something far deeper. A nation finding its voice on the world's biggest stage. A diaspora proving that distance means nothing when one of their own is making history. Was this the greatest show of support in Wimbledon history, or just the beginning of something even bigger? The phones at the All England Club started ringing at 6 a.m. and never stopped. The Wimbledon queue, a hallowed British tradition that draws thousands of dedicated fans each year, had never seen anything like it. By 8:30 a.m., more than 10,000 people had already lined up. But something was different this year, something none of the tournament organizers had anticipated. They came from every corner of the globe. Nurses from Birmingham, engineers from Berlin, students from Melbourne, families from Toronto. Filipino fans from across the diaspora had mobilized with a single mission: to watch Alex Eala make history. The demand for tickets to watch Eala was unlike anything Wimbledon had ever seen. Within hours of going on sale, tickets vanished. Every seat in Court 3, where Eala was scheduled to play her opening matches, was gone. The online ticketing system crashed multiple times. The phone lines were jammed. But it wasn't just the volume of requests that stunned officials, it was the source. The vast majority of the demand came from Filipino fans, both those living in the UK and those who had traveled thousands of miles to watch their hero. Eala herself was stunned by the turnout. "I know how notoriously difficult it is to get tickets to this event," she said after her first-round win. "So to have what I would call a full house of almost all Filipinos is amazing." The ticket rush was just the latest chapter in a phenomenon that had been building for months. A phenomenon that had transformed a 21-year-old from Quezon City into one of the most popular athletes in the world. A phenomenon that the tennis establishment was still struggling to understand. And as the gates of the All England Club finally opened, the invasion of SW19 was about to begin. When the gates of the All England Club finally swung open, the groundskeepers weren't ready for what they saw. A sea of red, white, and blue flooded through the entrances. Flags bearing the Philippine sunburst appeared in every corner of the grounds. Chants in Tagalog echoed across the manicured lawns, mixing with the unmistakable sound of a nation finding its voice on the world's most prestigious tennis stage. It wasn't just Manila that had shown up. It was nurses from Birmingham who had traded their hospital shifts for center court. Engineers from Berlin who had taken leave from their desks. Students from Melbourne who had drained their savings accounts. Families from Toronto who had packed their bags and their flags. Wherever Alexandra Eala played, the Philippines seemed to show up with her. On Court 3, the scene was unlike anything Wimbledon had ever witnessed. The famous All England Club, with its traditions of quiet applause and restrained decorum, had been transformed into a raucous celebration of Filipino pride. There was an unmistakably Filipino feel to the small arena, one report noted. Her team and family wore T-shirts bearing a picture of the sampaguita, the national flower of the Philippines. Eala herself sported a custom Nike visor with a Tagalog phrase that had become a rallying cry. Kapag lumago, hindi na hihinto. Once it grows, it cannot be stopped. "I think it's so sentimental to be able to wear things or to carry parts of my culture with me on court," Eala said. "Because of course it's a huge reason as to who I am." When she walked onto center court to face defending champion Iga Swiatek, the roar that greeted her was so loud it could have been heard back in Manila. The center court rose to salute a new star. "It sounds super impactful," Eala said of the Filipino crowd. "It's incredible to have my countrymen cheering me on and knowing that we're all in this together," she said. The Philippines had arrived at Wimbledon, and the tennis world would never be the same. The invasion of SW19 wasn't just about tickets and queues. It was about something far deeper. A global community finding its voice on the world's biggest stage. The Filipino diaspora is one of the largest in the world, approximately 13 million Filipinos living overseas. They are nurses in London, engineers in Berlin, seafarers on cargo ships, caregivers in Dubai, domestic workers in Rome, and students in Melbourne. They are spread across every continent, working tirelessly to support families back home. And they have found something that unites them like nothing else in recent memory. Alex Eala. Almost overnight, a player from a country with the world's 12th largest population of about 115 million, but with almost no professional tennis tradition, was carrying one of the globe's biggest diasporas from tournament to tournament. In January, at the Australian Open, thousands of Filipinos had descended on Melbourne Park, creating a logjam outside Court 6 and a line that stretched several hundred yards through the grounds. The pattern had repeated itself everywhere Eala went. In Indian Wells, in Dubai, in Rome, the flags appeared, the chants echoed, and the stands filled. "We're very proud of where we come from," Eala said. "We have a very strong sense of community. You can see it when someone does well. We're a community that uplifts each other." The numbers were staggering. Filipinos make up only a small community in England, yet Eala had consistently drawn passionate support from her countrymen, turning her Wimbledon matches into virtual home contests. Eala herself had learned to expect the unexpected. "Honestly, no place is unexpected anymore," she said with a laugh, noting she was once approached by a family of fans seeking photographs while swimming off the Philippine resort island of Boracay. But even she was stunned by what happened at Wimbledon. The fans didn't just show up, they took over. They turned the most prestigious tournament in tennis into a celebration of everything the Philippines had achieved through this remarkable young woman. And when she walked off center court after defeating Swiatek, she carried that pride with her. The invasion of SW19 was just the beginning. The Eala effect was here to stay. The crowd on Court 3 wasn't just loud, it was unforgettable. The sea of red, white, and blue stretched across the stands. Hundreds of Filipino supporters waved national flags, their chants in Tagalog echoing across the grounds. They had turned the most prestigious tournament in tennis into a celebration of national pride. But the Filipino fans didn't just bring flags and voices. They brought humor. Signs reading "Do it for the Karakari," a rich Filipino oxtail and peanut stew that Eala had mentioned in a viral TikTok video, appeared in the stands. Others held signs that injected a distinctly Filipino flavor into the most traditional tournament in tennis. It was equal parts pride, humor, and love. Even Wimbledon itself took notice. The tournament paid tribute to Eala in a Tagalog social media post, celebrating her breakthrough campaign. The post drew positive reactions from Filipino fans who welcomed Wimbledon's use of the Filipino language in celebrating the 21-year-old's performance. Jasmine Paolini, Eala's fourth-round opponent, was left in awe of the support. "She has a huge crowd with her," the Italian said. Now on the bridge, they were screaming, "Alex, Alex. It's so good for our sport, I think, also to involve more people around the world." Eala herself made sure to acknowledge her supporters. "Of course, I also want to give them time, my time," she told reporters. "It's extremely hard to get tickets here at Wimbledon, so I'm very happy with the support." When she walked off center court after her historic victory over Swiatek, the tears in her eyes weren't just for her achievement. They were for the thousands of countrymen who had crossed oceans to be there with her. "It's incredible to have my countrymen cheering me on and knowing that we're all in this together," she said. The crowd that had turned Wimbledon into a home away from home had become part of the story itself. And the tennis world was paying attention. The invasion of SW19 wasn't just about tickets and queues. It wasn't just about flags and chants. It was about something far deeper. A nation finding its voice on the world's biggest stage. A community proving that love for one of their own could move mountains and fill stadiums. For decades, tennis has been a sport dominated by players from traditional tennis powers. The United States, Europe, Australia. The idea that a player from the Philippines, a country with no history of Grand Slam success, could generate this level of passion and support seemed unimaginable just a few years ago. But Alex Eala has changed all that. She has shown that greatness doesn't have a passport, that talent can emerge from anywhere, that the future of tennis lies not in the traditional powers, but in the untapped markets around the world. The Filipino diaspora has proven that they will follow their heroes anywhere, and that they will spend whatever it takes to be part of the moment. The Eala effect has already been felt at the highest levels of the sport. Tournament directors have been forced to adapt. Show courts have been reassigned. Scheduling has been overhauled. The WTA, which had never seen anything quite like it, has been left scrambling to keep up with the demand. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. captured the sentiment of an entire nation when he congratulated Eala. "We know that you are fighting, making us proud, and bringing luster and honor to the Philippines. Keep going, keep going, keep going. We are behind you." But for Eala herself, the support is about something far deeper than numbers. It's about the connection she feels to her roots, the pride she carries for her country, the responsibility she feels to represent her people with dignity and grace. "We're quite positive people," she said. "And when positive things happen to other Filipinos around the world, I think we just kind of share the enjoyment and share the happiness." And as she walked off center court, through the sea of red, white, and blue, she carried that pride with her. The invasion of SW19 was just the beginning. The Eala effect was here to stay. And the tennis world would never be the same. The tickets had vanished, the flags had waved, the chants had echoed, and Alex Eala had proven that she was more than just a tennis player. She was a symbol of hope for millions of Filipinos around the world. Was this the greatest show of support in Wimbledon history, or just the beginning of something even bigger? They crossed oceans, they emptied their savings, they queued for hours in the London drizzle. And when the gates of the All England Club finally swung open, a sea of red, white, and blue flooded the most prestigious tournament in tennis, turning Wimbledon into a home away from home. The All England Club had seen passionate fan bases before, the roaring Brits on center court, the flag-waving Serbs who followed Novak Djokovic, the Spanish faithful who cheered Rafael Nadal. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared Wimbledon for what was about to hit them. Nurses from Birmingham, engineers from Berlin, students from Melbourne, families from Toronto. The Filipino diaspora had mobilized like never before, descending upon SW19 with a single mission: to watch Alex Eala make history. "I know how notoriously difficult it is to get tickets to this event," Eala said, "so to have what I would call a full house of almost all Filipinos is amazing." The sea of red, white, and blue had turned Court 3 and Center Court into celebrations of Filipino pride. Her team and family wore sampaguita t-shirts. She sported a visor with the Tagalog phrase, "Kapag lumago, hindi na hihinto." Once it grows, it cannot be stopped. Fans held signs reading, "Do it for the kare-kare." Even Wimbledon itself paid tribute in Tagalog. "She has a huge crowd with her," Jasmine Paolini said. "It's incredible to have my countrymen cheering me on and knowing that we're all in this together," Eala said. The tickets had vanished. The flags had waved, the chants had echoed. And Alex Eala had proven that she was more than just a tennis player. She was a symbol of hope for millions of Filipinos around the world. Was this the greatest show of support in Wimbledon history, or just the beginning of something even bigger?